Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. James 1, 2, and 3. My name is Myles Lofland, and by now you've probably noticed that the theme of CSLC this year is joy. There are numerous definitions for joy, but one of my favorite renderings defined it this way: the emotion of great delight or happiness caused by something exceptionally good or satisfying. I'm sure that the people at dictionary.com were thinking of some sort of event or happenstance stimulus that spurs someone toward the feeling of joy. For the Christian, however, this exceptionally good or satisfying thing is none other than the freedom we have found in Jesus Christ. Because our sin debt was paid in full on the cross of Calvary 2,000 years ago with Jesus' atoning sacrifice, because we have turned from sin and to Christ, we are commanded to be joyful. Joy is the only right response to the great news of the gospel and our eternal salvation. This is why it's mentioned so many other times. Philippians 4:4, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18, rejoice always, pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. Romans 12:12, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. But what about those difficult times? What about when we feel the weight of our team, the weight of our tasks, and the weight of burdensome difficulties? Remember, James tells us that we are to have that joy when we encounter trials, not if. When you're the one in the high position of leadership, the high position of service to others, this will and probably already has happened. I'm reminded of a story that my mother likes to tell. You see, when she was a little girl, my grandfather had flowers blooming big and beautifully in the backyard. As others were having issues with their plants, he was asked how his were so big, strong, and producing so many blossoms. When they waited, they expected to hear about his fertilizer brand and watering schedule. They ended up hearing something they weren't expecting. I beat them with a stick. While many believe this practice to be an old wives' tale to this day, Joyce Latimer published her research on the subject back in 1998. She referred to the practice as mechanical conditioning. She shares how vegetation grows stronger when placed under stressors. Consider wind and rainstorms. She observed how plant life grew sturdier and healthier when it was hit by such stressors, so as to be better equipped for future instances in its surroundings. So she experimented with these techniques and showed that they can be helpful in growing vegetation. In this session, it's my hope to equip you with 2 tools that will help you weather the storm of stressors and leadership with all joy. Tools that will help you strengthen, grow, and produce fruit under pressure as you leverage 2 key leadership skills: empathy and strength. We'll begin with an introduction to the 4-frame model.
First introduced in 1984, Bowman and Deal's 4-frame model is a comprehensive approach to understanding and managing organizations. The model suggests that leaders view their organizations through 4 distinct perspectives, or frames, to gain a deeper understanding of organizational dynamics and to respond more effectively to challenges. These frames are structural, human resource, political, and symbolic. Why would I choose to share this model with you today? For a Christian in a leadership position, understanding and utilizing Bowman and Deal's 4-frame model can be particularly beneficial for several reasons. Number 1, the holistic approach. The model encourages leaders to view their organization from multiple perspectives, fostering a well-rounded understanding that aligns with the principle of seeing the bigger picture. By considering all 4 frames in this strategy, leaders can make more informed and balanced decisions that reflect a holistic approach to stewardship. Enhance communication and conflict resolution. By understanding and utilizing the symbolic frame, leaders can communicate more effectively using stories and symbols to convey messages and inspire their teams. The political frame helps leaders recognize and address conflicts constructively, promoting reconciliation and peace, which are core Christian values. Servant leadership. The human resource frame emphasizes servant leadership, where leaders focus on developing and empowering their team members. This aligns with the Christian model of leadership exemplified by Jesus, who came to serve rather than be served. Additionally, leaders can create a supportive and nurturing environment that reflects the Christian ethos of love, support, and community. Vision and mission alignment. The symbolic and structural frames encourage leaders to articulate a compelling vision and mission that can align with Christian values and goals. This helps in fostering a sense of purpose and direction that is rooted in faith. Leaders can also use the symbolic frame to integrate Christian values into the organizational culture, ensuring that the organization's practices reflect its spiritual foundations. Let's take a closer look at each of the 4 frames, and then see what implementation of this strategy might look like. First, the structural frame. The structural frame emphasizes the importance of clear goals and objectives to guide organizational activities. In this frame, defining clear roles, responsibilities, and hierarchies within the organization is crucial. Formal policies, rules, and procedures are necessary to ensure consistent and efficient operations. Leaders in the structural frame are analytical and systematic, seen as architects who design and implement structures that align with organizational goals. A common metaphor for the structural frame is that of a factory or machine. Organizations are viewed as systems that need proper alignment and coordination to function efficiently. The structural frame addresses several challenges, such as reducing ambiguity and confusion through clear structures and ensuring efficiency and effectiveness through proper resource allocation. Key questions to consider in this frame include: how are tasks and responsibilities divided? What are the formal reporting relationships? How can we optimize workflow and processes? Next, the human resource frame. The human resource frame recognizes that organizations are composed of individuals with unique needs, feelings, and skills. It emphasizes the importance of motivation, empowerment, and job satisfaction for employees or team members. Aligning individual needs with organizational needs to create a harmonious working environment is a central focus. Leaders in the human resource frame are supportive and participative, acting as servants or coaches who nurture and develop their team members. A common metaphor for the human resource frame is that of a family. Organizations are viewed as extended families where relationships and personal needs are crucial. This frame addresses challenges such as increasing job satisfaction and morale, reducing turnover and improving retention, and enhancing teamwork and collaboration. The key questions to consider here include: how can we meet the needs of our employees? What can we do to develop and support our staff? How do we create a positive and productive work environment? Third, the political frame. The political frame acknowledges that organizations are arenas of competition and conflict over scarce resources. It focuses on building alliances and networks to gain influence and power. Negotiation, bargaining, and compromise are emphasized as crucial elements of decision-making. Leaders in the political frame are advocative and persuasive, seen as negotiators or politicians who navigate the political landscape of the organization. A common metaphor for the political frame is that of a jungle. Organizations are viewed as arenas where various interest groups compete for power and resources. This frame addresses challenges such as managing conflicts and power struggles, ensuring fair distribution of resources, and building coalitions and alliances to support initiatives. Key questions here: who holds the power and influence in the organization? What are the underlying conflicts and interests? How can we build coalitions to achieve our goals? Lastly, the symbolic frame. This frame focuses on the culture, symbols, rituals, and stories that give meaning to organizational life. It emphasizes the importance of vision, inspiration, and shared values in guiding behavior and creating commitment. Recognizing the power of symbols, ceremonies, and traditions in reinforcing organizational values and identity is key. Leaders in the symbolic frame are inspirational and visionary, seen as prophets or poets who articulate a compelling vision and create meaning through symbols and stories. A common metaphor for the symbolic frame is that of a theater or carnival. Organizations are viewed as stages where actors play their roles and rituals give life meaning. This frame addresses challenges such as building a cohesive organizational culture, inspiring and motivating employees through shared vision and values, and enhancing commitment and loyalty through meaningful symbols and rituals. Key questions to consider here include: what symbols and rituals define our organization? How can we create and communicate a compelling vision? What stories are central to our organizational culture? Consider the following scenario. Imagine a Christian university that is planning to launch a new community outreach program. The goal of this program is to engage students, faculty, and staff in service projects that benefit the local community. The leadership team at the university decides to use Bowman and Deal's 4-frame model to ensure the program's success. Here's how each frame can be applied in practice. The structural frame: the program director creates a detailed organizational chart that outlines the reporting structure and lines of communication. They also develop a handbook that includes all policies and procedures, ensuring everyone involved understands their responsibilities. The human resource frame in action: the program director holds a regular meeting to gather feedback from volunteers and address their concerns. They also create a recognition program that highlights the achievements of volunteers during monthly chapel services, fostering a sense of appreciation and community. The political frame looks like this. The program director meets with university administrators to secure funding and resources for the program. They also collaborate with student government leaders to promote the initiative and encourage student participation. When conflicts arise, such as differing opinions on project priorities, the director facilitates discussions to reach a compromise. Lastly, the symbolic frame in action. The program director launches the outreach program with a special chapel service that includes prayers, songs, and a commissioning ceremony for volunteers. They also develop a logo and tagline for the program that reflects its mission and values. Throughout the year, the team shares stories of impactful service projects during chapel services and in university newsletters, reinforcing the program's significance. So, by applying Bowman and Deal's 4-frame model, the leadership team at the Christian University is able to launch and sustain a successful community outreach program. Each frame provides a different lens through which to view and address the challenges and opportunities associated with the initiative. But back to the main point of this session. Where do we see those core components of empathy and strength in this model? When leaders integrate empathy and strength across all 4 frames, they create a balanced and effective leadership approach. Empathy ensures that leaders are attuned to the needs and feelings of their team, fostering a supportive and inclusive environment. Strength ensures that leaders can make decisive, fair, and effective decisions that advance organizational goals. A critical piece to consider for the Christian here is the boldness necessary to show strength under pressure. The world is constantly pushing Christians and affiliated institutions to lay aside their doctrines in favor of peace with the world. By the symbolic frame, we call upon our foundational Christian doctrines, steadying our perspective and purpose on Jesus Christ and his teachings, boldly standing for biblical truth. The Puritan preacher Thomas Watson taught, quote, "We must not purchase peace with the loss of holiness," end quote. Rather, we are to do as taught by the Apostle Paul in Philippians 2:14-16, where he says, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing, so that you will prove yourselves to be blameless and innocent, children of God above reproach, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you will appear as lights in the world, holding fast the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I will have reason to glory, because I did not run in vain, nor toil in vain." Now, let's explore the next tool, the decision matrix. The decision matrix tool from Bill Burnett and Dave Evans, the authors of Designing Your Life and founders of the Stanford Life Design Lab, is a systematic approach to making decisions, particularly when you have multiple options to choose from. This tool helps you evaluate and prioritize your choices based on various criteria. Using the decision matrix offers substantial value and practicality in the decision-making process, particularly when faced with multiple options. Here's why the tool is beneficial and practical. First, objectivity. Emotions can cloud judgment, especially when making significant decisions. The decision matrix helps mitigate this by focusing on predefined criteria and their relative importance. By scoring each option against these criteria, it ensures that the decision is based on rational analysis rather than the emotional impulse. Value alignment. The decision matrix ensures that your decisions align with your personal values and goals. By including criteria that reflect what matters most to you, such as alignment with values, potential for growth, or work-life balance, you ensure that your final choice supports your long-term aspirations and principles. Third, it facilitates comparison. When you have multiple options, it can be challenging to compare them directly. The decision matrix makes this comparison easier by providing a quantitative way to evaluate each option against the same set of criteria. This side-by-side comparison highlights the strengths and weaknesses of each option, making it easier to see which one stands out. Enhances confidence. A structured approach like the decision matrix can enhance your confidence in the decision you make. Knowing that you have systematically evaluated each option based on what matters most to you provides assurance that you're making the best possible choice given the information available. Lastly, practical application. The decision matrix is highly practical and can be used in various scenarios, from personal decisions like choosing a job or a place to live to professional decisions like selecting a vendor or prioritizing projects. Its versatility makes it a valuable tool in both personal and professional contexts. Here's a breakdown of how to use the decision matrix tool. First, you need to identify your options. List all the possible options or choices you're considering. These could be job opportunities, project ideas, life decisions, etc. Next, define your objectives or criteria. Determine the objectives that are important to you in making this decision. These objectives should reflect your values, goals, and what you believe will lead to the best outcome. Common objectives might include alignment with values, potential for growth, impact on others, work-life balance, financial benefits, and interest and excitement. Next, rate the importance of each objective. Assign a weight or importance level to each criterion based on how crucial it is to you. Let's walk through the process of using the tool with the same scenario we had before. Imagine a Christian university that's planning to launch a new community outreach program. The goal of this program is to engage students, faculty, and staff in service projects that benefit the local community. Step 1 is to identify our options. We need to list all the possible community outreach programs we are considering. For this example, we have 3 options. Secondly, we have to define those objectives. We determine the criteria that are important for making this decision. Our criteria should reflect our university's values and goals. For this decision, we'll use the following criteria. Next, we evaluate each option. As we went through and gave intentional consideration to each option, our thought processes allowed us to flesh out what was important as well as what may pose risk. For example, we may not have given much consideration to how much our faculty and staff would be interested in getting sweaty and dirty until evaluating their involvement in the garden project. Additionally, we might not have considered how sustainable it would have been to keep regular food donations coming into the university for a feeding of the homeless project. In our example, offering free tutoring to our local schools showed to be a top option. And because of the matrix, we can easily discuss why, providing us empathy and strength to that team discussion. As we tie a bow on things, let's look at how empathy and strength are represented with this tool. In the process of selecting the community outreach program, empathy is shown by considering how each program will engage students, faculty, and staff, and how it will benefit the local community. Strength is demonstrated by creating rooted and defensible positioning for leaders to engage in healthy argumentation for their reasoning. By integrating empathy and strength, the decision matrix not only aids in making a well-rounded decision, but also ensures that the decision-making process is inclusive, transparent, and aligned with core values, ultimately leading to a more meaningful and impactful outcome.
As you can tell, I'm a fan of both the 4-frame model and the decision matrix, as these are 2 excellent resources that are applicable to numerous situations. Whether you're building a new activity, a large initiative, re-envisioning your current strategic plan, or simply seeking to schedule the next team meeting, these versatile resources can serve your needs both practically and productively. While this is merely a simple introduction to these two practical resources, it's my hope that you take them with you, as with many other leadership resources in your toolbox, and utilize them with empathy, strength, and humility. It can feel really good to do something great for your university. For the Christian, we want to be certain we ascribe glory to God in these wins, not ourselves. In reminding ourselves to remain humble with these new resources, I wanted to share something cool that came up recently while my wife and I were reading the other day. She shared a quote that stuck with me. In Lou Priolo's book, Pleasing People: How Not to Be an Approval Junkie, he shares this nugget of wisdom that aligns with our lesson today. Quote, "When you really have something to offer the world, then you can become truly humble. A tree, when it has no fruit to offer, remains erect. But when the tree is laden with fruit, it bends down. If you are all pride and ego, then nobody will be able to get anything worthwhile from you. When you have genuine humility, it's a sign that you have something to offer mankind." It's my prayer for you that you bear excellent fruit at your institution as you joyfully approach challenging circumstances with an attitude like the late 18th century missionary William Carey, who said, "Expect great things from God, attempt great things for God." Soli Deo Gloria.